Good evening. Welcome to the annual Baltimore City Board of Investment Taxpayers Night. Taxpayers Night provides the public an opportunity to comment on the preliminary budget for fiscal 2018 that was recommended to the Board of Investment by the Department of Finance on March the 29th, 2017. As you may have seen coming in, the budget office is hosting this annual budget pop-up in the lobby. Representatives from the city's result teams are here to represent and discuss the investment proposed in each of the mayor's 7 priority outcomes. I encourage you to stop by and learn more about the fiscal 2018 budget. At this time, I would like to introduce the members of the Board of Estimates, starting on my left, Mayor Catherine Pugh, and to her left, Comptroller Pratt, and to her left, Acting City Solicitor David Ralph. To my right is the Public Works Director Rudy Chow. To his right is Henry Raymond, and to his right is Andrew Klein. Mr. Klein, Chief of the Bureau of Budget and Management Research, you should also recognize other elected officials. I guess that's my script. Can all the city council members please stand? Okay, so I can know who you are. We have Zeke Cohen. Councilman Cohen, Councilman Costello, Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark, Councilwoman Shannon Smead, Councilman Robert Stokes, Councilman John Bullock. Any more council people that I missed? Okay. Okay. The preliminary fiscal year 2017 operating budget has been recommended at $2.8 billion. This is an increase of $140.8 million, or 5.3% above the fiscal year 2017 adopted budget. The capital plan is recommended at $1.1 billion, which is $592.3 million, or 113% higher than fiscal 2017. The members of the Board of Investment are very interested in listening to your views and observation concerning this budget. This is our opportunity as the board to hear from Baltimore City residents. This is your opportunity as city residents to share your thoughts regarding spending, budget priorities, and other fiscal concerns. Since we are here to listen, we do not intend to enter into dialogue with you as you speak, but may ask you to clarify a point. Anyone wishing to address the board must sign up to do so. Sign-up sheets are located at the table at the entrance of this auditorium. Speakers will be heard in order in which they have signed up. Each time I announce the name of the next speaker, I will identify the next person so you can be prepared to come up to the microphone. We ask that you limit your remarks to 2 minutes so that everyone can have an opportunity to speak. Your time cannot be yielded to another speaker. Time will be kept by the Budget Director, Mr. Klein, to my right, at the front of the room. He will alert you when you have 30 seconds left by holding up a yellow paddle. Y'all see that paddle? At that time, you should start bringing your remarks to a close. Mr. Klein will also alert you when you are out of time by holding up a red paddle. See the paddle? If you have a handout or a copy of your remarks in writing, please give them to Mr. Huber from our office. Where you at, Michael? Who is sitting right there in the front. He will distribute them to the board members. And finally, please turn off all cell phones and pages. Now let's begin. Madam Mayor, would you like to have any opening remarks?
I was going to do as you had suggested, is to have comments at the end.
Madam Controller? Any other board member? Okay. Ellie Mitchell, Christine Newman, Simone Scott, in that order.
Good evening, Mayor Pugh and members of the Board of Estimates. I am here tonight as a parent of 2 Baltimore City Public School students, but I also run the Maryland Out of School Time Network, and I am a member of the Baltimore Education Coalition. And tonight, I want to first thank the mayor and for your efforts on fixing the gap. We really appreciate that work. But we're also here to ask that you restore the $2.4 million to the community school and out-of-school time investment. There's a vision for Baltimore that is shared by many community leaders and advocates and educators and many members of the council that includes the ability for all the schools to have the resources they need to provide wraparound services to address the barriers to learning that are created by poverty, that all the schools in Baltimore all students in Baltimore have access to safe and enriching spaces in their out-of-school hours. And we've been fighting for this vision for a long, long time. It took nearly a decade to move from a $6 million investment to a $10 million investment. It took a lot of community organizing, the support of the council, and an uprising to move from $6 million to $10 million. When we made it to $10 million, we made a lot of progress. And regardless of how the Department of Budget Management interprets that line item, that 2.4 line item, it can't be a one-time investment, because community schools and out-of-school time provide continuity of services to young people and their families. And by losing 6 schools and over 1,000 seats, we do not provide that continuity of services. And the youth fund was always intended to be on top of that investment. So it was the intention of the council and the people that we keep the $10 million. We're down to 6.5, and there will be consequences to programs. Thank you.
Good evening. Mayor Pugh and Board of Estimates, thank you for your time. My name is Christine Newman. I'm Assistant Dean and Executive Director of the Center for Educational Outreach at Johns Hopkins University Whiting School of Engineering. Our center's mission is to engage faculty and students to inspire and prepare K-12 students in Baltimore City Public Schools for STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, education and careers. The community school model facilitates our ability to bring enhanced STEM education to the schools. For example, one of our programs is SABES, STEM Achievement in Baltimore Elementary Schools, which includes in-school and after-school programming, teacher supports and professional development, and twice-a-year STEM showcases where students can present their student-driven community-based projects to their families and communities. At least 5 of our 9 SABES schools are Family League community schools: Arlington, Barclay, Margaret Brent, Highlandtown 237, and John Rura. The community school coordinator works with us in each of these schools to schedule and help promote the after-school program, to schedule and plan the STEM showcases in the fall and spring, and to get the word out to parents to attend. They know their school and their families and are key to getting good attendance at the programs and events. Furthermore, at Barclay and Margaret Brent, which have become university-assisted community schools, the community school coordinators assist us with scheduling meetings with the principals and with teachers, invite us to participate in school events like welcome back rallies, back to school night, engineering week, science fair, and collect permission slips for campus visits and educational field experiences. They make sure our events are on the school calendar and help us deliver curriculum to our materials. We find the community schools coordinator to be invaluable in partnering with our schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Simone Scott here? Okay, I'm gonna call the next 3 people and you come right up. I hope I didn't mess this name up. Nakasha Thomas, Taneen Thrower, Federico Adams, in that order.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Simone Scott, and I'm a student at Renaissance Academy. I'm also a youth with Communities United. And I just wanted to say something on our school budget. First, I would like to thank you for all of your hard work, because I really appreciate it, and I just respect you, just as a lady, as a woman, period. But my main point is, I would like to ask you. All right, I just would like to ask you if you could just try your hardest to keep out $10 million budget, because $6.5 million isn't enough already. $1 million is enough for one school. So $6 million for 6 schools, okay, that's something, but what about the rest of our schools? I just like to tell you a little bit about our organization. We're a grassroots membership organization for low, moderate income individuals and families. And I just would like to tell you a little bit about what we're fighting for. We're fighting for committed money and for community schools and about the quality life for ex-offenders, also a safe and livable public housing, because for one, our community is about our youth. So if our youth isn't educated, what is our future going to be? But I just would like to close and say, I just really, really hope that you just really push hard for us, and we believe in you, we really do. Everyone makes mistakes, and everyone can't go through with everything that they may promise, but just try your hardest, please. Thank you.
Can I just say that when I call your names, just come and stand up so that you won't have to be, we want to make sure you're here. So just line up when I call your names. Thank you.
I believe there was another name called before me, but no one got up, so I
What
wanted
is
to
your
come
name?
on to save time. Tanae Thrower.
Yeah, Nakasha Thomas? Nakasha Thomas? Okay, you can go ahead.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tanae Thrower, and I'm a community school coordinator at Berkeley Elementary Middle School. But today, I'm not just here on behalf of Berkeley Elementary Middle School as a community school, but I'm here on behalf of 50-plus community school coordinators who may be on break right now, although we rarely get a break. I like to usually say that we're something like superheroes because we answer our phones late at night. We answer our phones early in the morning. We answer them in the middle of us sleeping, just so that we can make sure that all of our partners, all of our parents, all of our students have whatever resources that are needed. We implement and manage programs about serving families and saving lives all at the same time. Connecting families to so many resources like housing, emotional and mental health resources, workforce development, and food access in real time is a really big deal. A lot of families struggle with actually getting help within real time and not being put on waiting lists for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or 30 or 45 days at a time. Community school coordinators help people who may be on that list or help stop them from being put on those lists of not being able to be served at the right time. I've been able to help increase parent involvement and community involvement at my school by starting a campaign called All Paws In. With that, we've been able to show our data went from 500 volunteer hours to over 4,000 volunteer hours within one school year, meaning we've partnered with small businesses, big corporations, universities, and more importantly, our parents and our students to make them believe in the love of Baltimore City again, to make them believe and trust in Baltimore City Public Schools and our system again. Not only do we work to make sure that they can trust us again, but we make sure that we believe in operating as a family and as a unit. Our academic programming alone at Berkeley motivates our children to come to school every day, where in most schools, attendance is a big issue. And not only do they come to school every day, but they're happy about it. They've become innovative thinkers and wanting to make a difference and solve real-life issues using STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math principles. They work in a real-life engineering lab of their own that's stationed at their school. They learn about journalism and video production by interviewing city leaders of Baltimore City, like the CEO of Baltimore City Public Schools, mayor candidates, and actual great leaders like you, Madam Mayor. Our Berkeley students, because of the community school strategy, were afforded the opportunity to have a video and journalism production class, in which they then decided to do a project on how to make improved schools better, along with working with city leadership. And they interviewed you at the Baltimore Education Coalition's Fix the Gap rally in Annapolis. And from that, they became more and more inspired. They continue now to say, and I must quote this, that I want to become a boss, yes, a real boss, like the mayor, Catherine Pugh, and become a boss like the real boss, our STEAM music instructor, who is an entrepreneur and a small business owner, that teaches them about the purpose of education and the purpose of living their desires and following their dreams, that they're all gifted and they all go hand in hand. I love going to work every day, and I love going on social media.
Can you try to wrapping up, please?
I love going on social media every day, looking at the hashtag All Paws In and community schools, seeing how happy, motivated, encouraged, smart, and strong our students and families are, all because of the community school strategy. So, but I am also afraid that we may not have that same joy if the $2.4 million isn't restored to the community school strategy. I love the city of Baltimore, and I believe that the community school strategy is nothing but another way of showing love for Baltimore City.
Thank you. I don't want to be the bad guy, but please look over when the red sign come up and be respectful of other people who have 2 minutes. Thank you. Let me call the other names first. Amali Ward, Frank Patanella, Celeste, I think there's Perilla. All right, thank you.
Good evening, Mayor Pugh, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Federico Adams. I'm the principal of William Pendy Hughes Elementary Middle School located in the Sandtown, Winchester community. I've humbly come before you this evening in order to voice my support for the request to restore the approximately $2.4 million in funding that was allocated for out-of-school and community schools. As a veteran principal who's had the opportunity, to serve a number of communities through our city, I know firsthand the impact that both out-of-school time programs and community schools provide to our students and families. By providing our children and youth with opportunities to positively engage themselves, we are indeed investing in the future of our city as a whole. The unfortunate reality is that many of our communities, trouble can be easier to find than opportunities are to locate. When we provide the structured, nurturing environments that youth connect with through out-of-school programs and community schools, we bring opportunity directly to them. We allow our words and actions to give our students the same message. As principal of one of the Baltimore's longest continuous community schools, I see the impact that community schools have on our students and their families on a daily basis. By virtue of our status as community school members of the William Pendy Hughes community, we give our students access to a service hub that is built on a foundation of support and growth. Students are able to access support services ranging from obtaining eyeglasses and school uniforms and mental health services. Their parents and families can take advantage of services such as food pantries, job placement assistance, healthy cooking classes, and healthy relationship awareness programs. You do an extremely challenging job. How do you allocate limited funding in such a time when pressing needs are available throughout our city? I ask you to consider the uniqueness of out-of-school time and community school funding from a different perspective. These programs are truly rooted in the concept of preventive services. By granting children and their families access to services and supports that these incredible programs provide, you are likely helping to reduce the number of young people who become a victim of crime or foster a sense of hopelessness. I strongly believe that these programs are part of the glue that can hold many of our school communities together. I urge you to look very closely at how the greater community can join together to keep these funding sources in place. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for having this here tonight and being here to listen to your constituents. My name is Amalia Ward. I'm a parent of a kindergartner in the Baltimore City public school system. I'm a city resident and I'm a taxpayer. I'm new to Baltimore City public schools, but when I heard of the 1,000 jobs that were going to be cut, I was appalled. My school was going to lose 10 of the 12 support staff and many of the resource positions. And I'm worried for my school, but not only my school, but schools across Baltimore. I rallied, I spoke to legislators in Annapolis, I wrote letters to the governor. I see what is now pledged, and I feel that it is nowhere near the $130 million that we need to sustain what schools provided last year. I'm upset. My school, which actually has 2 physical campuses, will now lose the assistant principal position, a person who is vital to the safety and quality of education at our school. I look forward to hearing what the Kerwin Commission comes up with, but that's not for another 3 years down the road when that might be implemented. Our kids can't wait. 3 years is a long time. So I ask you, Mayor Pugh, to please support the additional $10 million that President Jack Young had proposed to fix the gap. I also ask, as others have said, that you please put the $2.4 million back for out-of-school time network programs and community schools programs. And I ask you to support wonderful organizations like the Baltimore Education Coalition, DBFA, and BUILD, because I certainly do. Thank you so much.
Hi, good evening, Mayor Pugh and members of the Board of Estimates. My name is Frank Pathnella. Thank you for the time tonight. I work as an education advocate at the ACLU of Maryland, and I'm also the co-chair of the Baltimore Education Coalition. And we're a coalition of 20 organizations, policy groups, after-school programs, faith-based institutions, neighborhood associations, and more, where we work for adequate funding for our schools and effective education policies and programs, and I just want to make 3 quick points. I also want to thank you, Mayor Catherine Pugh, for the additional $22.4 million in the FY18 budget. You know, we rallied over 2,000 people in Annapolis to urge the city and the state to work collaboratively to fix this gap. We made thousands of phone calls, met with legislators in other counties, and you worked closely with Delegate McIntosh to come up with this plan. We're in a much better position now with the $60 million Bridge to Kerwin package that will provide for the next 3 years. But even with that additional funding, there are some cuts to schools. So, you know, schools are still feeling the pains and of the budget situation. We, again, reiterating our ask to find that $10 million in the budget, support President Jack Young's pledge of $10 million. We would like that commitment to be a multi-year commitment as well, a 3-year commitment, so that $10 million for 3 years in a row to support the schools. The second point I want to make is about the Kerwin Commission. I think we as a city need to unite around this commission and what is possible for funding for our schools. The consultants recommended that $358 million was needed over the current amount that's already given, and all of that is state money. So if we get an additional $358 million, that could possibly free up money in the city. That's good policy that has to do with the local and state share of what should be given to the school system by each entity, and so we have a lot to gain from the state here. So we would like to work closely with you on that, and just want to reiterate that point on out-of-school time in community schools, the $2.4 million we want back, because that's a program that needs continuity. There's 1,000 out-of-school time seats and 6 community schools that could be lost as a result. So that's pulling the rug out of the kids that are receiving that services, and just the millions that are leveraged from other services, resources, institutions through partnerships. So thank you very much.
Hi there. My name is Celeste Parilla. Thank you guys for having everybody here tonight. I'm a Baltimore City Schools graduate, I'm a parent, and I'm also a program manager with the Downtown Baltimore Family Alliance. We're a 3,000 plus member organization of families that really provide a voice on issues that matter to Baltimore parents and Baltimore families, and we're also a founding member of the Baltimore Education Coalition. I want to thank you for your work to fix the gap, and want to underscore what Frank was just saying about the $10 million multi-year commitment and how that's really important to making sure that our schools are adequately funded. I'm here to also talk to you tonight about the community school funding. We, as an independent nonprofit alliance of parents and educators, we are really devoted to retaining and supporting Baltimore families, and we really fight to keep families in the city really turning the tide of the first comes love, then comes marriage, then comes moving to the suburbs. We don't want that to happen. We want people to stay in the city and build our communities and build social capital with each other. So over half a century of middle-class flight from the city has contributed to hyper-segregation and underfunding of city schools, and DBFA is working to address these consequences by encouraging families to stay in the city. And I would say we've been successful. A recent downtown partnership study found that although the city's population has fallen to a 100-year low, the number of downtown residents has jumped since 2007. But we can't continue this upward trajectory of population growth without the strong schools. We know that community schools not only improve academic outcomes, but provide entree for parents and community members to earnestly and genuinely be involved in their schools. And community schools are a really crucial part of our efforts to introduce and amplify the benefits of public school education for all of Baltimore's students. So I'm here to ask tonight for you to restore the $2.4 million into the community schools budget. And also for the multi-year commitment for $10 million to fix the gap. Thank you very much.
Mark Gaither, Samira Franklin, and Melissa Schober, in that order.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you. My name is Mark Gaither. I'm a principal for Baltimore City Public Schools at Wolf Street Academy. We have been I have been at Wolf for 12 years. And when I arrived in 2005, Wolf was on the state takeover list for persistent failure, over a decade of not making the grade. In 2006, we became a community school. And in the subsequent decade, I have come to realize that you cannot succeed at educating children in an area of concentrated poverty without community schools, full stop, period. Come on now, only got 2 minutes. And the message that I want you all to hear about this is that it took 10 years. In 2014, the last time we had hard, good data, consistent data, being the MSA assessment that the state gives, Wolf had moved to the second highest performing school in Baltimore. And that is a result of having wraparound services, of having extended days until 5:30, of putting eyeglasses on kids' food in their stomachs, and security and stability. This is something that none of us in this room would accept for our children, to not have after-school programs, and to say to 1,000 kids out there, I'm sorry, but we can't do it. That needs to stop. And in fact, I would say, yes, I want the 2.4, restore the 2.4. I want the 10 million, but we need to get to the point where it is as ridiculous to say we're going to have a school that is not a community school, that does not have an after-school program, as it would be to say we're going to have a school without a principal or without teachers. It is that fundamental to what we do. So, short time, come out to the school, ask me more questions. It's good stuff. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good night. Good evening, everyone. My name is Samira Franklin. I'm 19 years old. I'm the director of Baltimore Youth Organizing Project, an initiative created by Build and the No Boundaries Coalition. For young people in Baltimore City, resources for youth that are basic in other districts must be fought for tirelessly. Madam Mayor and members of the council, you guys have done that. We celebrate the progress made thus far, but it's not enough. I'm here tonight asking everyone here to work together to restore the $2.4 million to community school and after-school funding. I have met with many of you personally in smaller meetings and heard firm commitments to hold after-school funding safe, but it's been cut. Crises, in our city cannot be rectified on the backs of youth. That's all I have to say. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the Board of Estimates. Good evening, Madam Mayor and members of the Board of Estimates. My name is Melissa Schober, and I'm the parent of a third grader at a community school. I'm also the parent and community rep for the Community School Steering Committee, recently reconstituted with the Baltimore City Schools. And Madam Mayor, I wanted to thank you for turning out to our first meeting at the YMCA. Your presence there highlighted the importance of community schools, and that's why I'm here tonight to ask for restoration of the $2.4 million to support the community schools that our children so desperately need. It's only been 2 short years since the unrest here in Baltimore, and conditions for Baltimore youth have not significantly changed. We are still a city of concentrated poverty in which children come to school hungry, come to school in need of glasses, in need of dental care, basic health care, and mental health services. They need to obtain them at school to be successful and able to learn. It is impossible to expect teachers, particularly in the budget environment that we have now, to perform their duties when children are hungry, tired, cold, and unable to learn. We are asking them to do the impossible if we do not restore the $2.4 million in this budget. We are asking them to be miracle workers. Schools are not a panacea. Children do not come to school and suddenly leave behind the conditions in which they arrive. They return to those communities at the end of every day, and it is unfair and unfortunate to expect our teachers, our social workers, and other members of our community to educate children who come to school in challenging conditions. Please, I ask of you, particularly with the energy of the new Community School Steering Committee, to restore this money.
Amani Warren, Adam Jackson, and Kenneth, is this Gwee? Okay.
Good evening, Mayor Pugh and members of the Board of Estimates. Thank you for this opportunity to testify. My name is Amani Warren, and I am the Community Schools Coordinator for Promise Heights and Utah Marshburn Elementary School. I'm also a resident of Reservoir Hill. I'm here to ask you to restore the $2.4 million for the community schools and out-of-school time budget. Promise Heights is a place-based initiative in the Upton Heights neighborhood focused on coordinating high academic, social, and health programs and support for a cradle to college and career. We are also a lead agency for 5 community schools that range from kindergarten to 12th grade. Utah Marshburn is a pre-K through 5 school with about 275 students. We became a community school at the beginning of last school year, and the journey has had some challenges, but it's had more accomplishments. Some of those accomplishments include a food pantry every month that averages serving 65 families, a mentoring program for 5th graders with the officers of the Baltimore City Police Department. Our Judy Center hosts at least 4 workshops a month, including Fatherhood Fridays and Daddy Hair Care. In January of this year, we launched our Child First Authority after-school program for 60 second and third grade students. Our choir also sang at the Druid Heights CDC Black Tie Gala and has entered the Orioles National Anthem Contest. We also partner with Girl Scouts, who has supported our kindergarten through 5th grade students 8 weeks during school, and they're now Girl Scouts. Over the summer, we also employed 10 youth workers who composed a documentary called Community Visions. You can find it on YouTube. It's about the history, challenges, and hopes and dreams of the residents of Upton Druid Heights neighborhood. This year, our community partners have come together to also host quarterly perfect attendance breakfasts for our families. Our school has also been trained in restorative practices. And just this week, we had a restorative circle with our parents so we could hear their concerns and work together to find solutions. Without the $2.4 million, we would not be able to carry on some of these programs to the scale we are now. And because our schools are facing a lot of budget cuts, a lot of schools will not be able to be community schools without the $2.4 million. As a representative of Promise Heights and a member of the Utah Marshburn Baltimore City Public Schools community, I ask you to restore the $2.4 million.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and esteemed panel. My name is Adam Jackson from Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle. One of the things that I've been involved with for the past couple months is being co-chair of the Baltimore City Youth and Children Task Force. Deciding with the $12 million how will we be governed by Baltimore City government led by Jack Young last year, President Young last year. And so one of the things I want to address publicly and kind of on the record is that it's always been my public position as part of the task force to ensure that the majority of the resources from the youth fund go to community-based organizations and institutions, because in Baltimore what tends to happen is that you have large big box nonprofit institutions that get grant money, and smaller black organizations that are in community typically don't get those resources. And so I think it's important, and we also, in terms of talking about that, to ensure that that money does not go to the Family League. And my position has been that the Family League as a quasi-public service agency or quasi-public agency has not been accountable to community, and sending $12 million to Family League again reifies the problem and structural dynamics of racism in Baltimore when we're talking about organizations getting resources in community. And so one of my points in the task force has also been to ensure that we develop a black intermediary that can also be a steward of these resources, because having the Family League is the only organization in Baltimore that kind of controls these resources and is the arbiter of these resources, makes a situation where, quite frankly, white-led nonprofits can hustle off of the suffering of black children in Baltimore. And we want to figure out how to end that structural dynamic. Me and my co-chair, John Brothers from T. Rowe Price, have been talking about how to do that on the task force. And so I just want to make it public and make sure that the community knows that it's always been my agenda to ensure that those resources are in the hands of community, and that we can ensure that we can build organizations to serve Baltimore City's young people. Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Council Young, and all elected officials. We are 2 years removed from the Baltimore uprising, and many of us are still asking, where is the change we were promised? After the cameras vacated and people left, we believe that things this time will be different. A new administration comes into power, and a new budget has been presented but all we are seeing are new versions of an old story. And after all we have been through, we deserve a budget which invests directly into the people, a budget which secures the human rights of peace in our neighborhoods, the freedom to thrive, and liberty of equity in all our institutions. What we truly deserve is a budget which provides economic justice for the poor and restitution to the disenfranchised, investing $500 million in policing versus $2 million on youth violence prevention, $50 million attracting outside businesses and tourism versus $6 million on Baltimore resident workforce, and $62 million on fleet management versus $433,000 promoting home ownership. This budget falls short of the changes we were looking for. We, the people, deserve transformational and institutional change. And so today, we are calling for the reallocation of $75 million for the purposes of subsidized jobs for the poorest communities in Baltimore City. And as a sign of faith, to show how serious we are, I will prepare to go on a hunger strike if the $75 million is not reallocated for subsidized jobs for our poorest citizens. And so the words of yesterday continues to ring so true for today. I have cherished the ideal of a democratic and free society in which all persons live in harmony and with equal opportunities. Is an ideal for which I hope to live for and to see realized, but if need be, is an ideal that I am willing to die for.
Christina Flowers, Zach Murray, and Erin Hodges Williams, in that order.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Madam Mayor and the rest of the city officials. Also, thank you guys for your condolences and letters during my family loss. I represent the homeless community here in Baltimore City. I represent the grassroots. I represent small businesses. I represent the opportunity for us as the grassroots community to be given the opportunity to demonstrate a housing first model to get individuals off the streets, under bridges, from out of the situations that they're in. I feel like we should not be sponsoring and supporting county hotels when it comes to dealing with our city homeless individuals. I feel like we should be more focused as a grassroots entity to be able to house them and to put the services together to help these individuals to get rebuilt and reestablished back into Baltimore City. I always go to my story of March the 7th, 2013, when somebody took me on a corridor where it was 12 homeless people living in a tent. 2 days later, I walked into City Hall and I met Mary Pat Clark for the first time and Bill Henry. Moved from Harford County into Baltimore City because I felt like God was stirring my heart and a passion to end this situation and arise consciousness of us in Baltimore City that our brothers and sisters should not be living in tents and under bridges at no cost and no expense. If that means stopping some vacations, some overtime payments, we need to focus on putting the money where it needs to be in the small organizations, nonprofit, private sectors. We have created a private sector entity that's ready to house individuals immediately. So, Madam Mayor, I pray to you and to Madam Pratt and Jack Young to consider the proposal that the Real Care Providers has put in, because we are serious about ending homelessness, and it's going to be done with or without the assistance, because this is something that God has a calling on my life, and it's something that we all should consider when it talks about taking care of the least of them. So thank you guys for listening. And
good evening. My name is Zach Murray, and I'm a resident of District 7, and I want to begin by thanking you all for being here. Really appreciate the opportunity to address you all. I want to start by commending you for your efforts to increase money to education and to youth. But the truth is, I remain dissatisfied with this budget because the city is not adequately auditing the spending. The city is not adequately auditing agencies. And so we really can't trust that we're going to get the outcomes that the citizens of Baltimore deserve until we're counting the money. I also want to say that the police budget must go down. The reality is there's been no demonstrated correlation between our increase in spending since 2009 to the police and decreases in crime. In fact, as the money to policing has increased, we've seen astronomical increases in crime. The reality is the continued disinvestments in education, in housing, and in young people are the result of our issues. When we put money and our investments and our energy there as opposed to policing and criminalizing our young people, we'll get a different result. We have a massive amount of our budget that's set aside for payouts to the police department, but we're still increasing their money. The consent decree, as I understand it, is going to come from the city's credit card, essentially, right? Instead of coming from their budget and having them cut from within their existing resources, the city's finding new revenue to compensate. The state is shelling out money and the city's shelling out new money for that. The fact is, we have an austerity policy only when it comes to our schools and our young people. I graduated from City College in 2007. We had a $50 million deficit. To see that it has gone in 10 years to $130 million is a shame. It's because we're not counting the money. It's because we have a development policy that incentivizes people to build luxury development without any affordable housing, without any requirements of local construction hiring, and that removes tax revenue that should go to the black children of this city. We cannot continue to tell our children to sacrifice, but tell the police department that they'll get whatever they want and continue on as corrupt in their practices as possible. I want to also say that the housing budget, the decision to spend $60 million is inadequate. Housing is a major issue. We have thousands of residents in this city who live under excruciating conditions. This summer, hundreds of young people will sleep in houses with nighttime temperatures of 90 degrees, and they're told to go in because we have a curfew. The reality is we have demolition happening in West Baltimore without any type of community planning process on the front or the back. We have an inclusionary housing policy that has existed for years and has yielded just 32 units because the city provides waivers to developers every time. And someone mentioned earlier about the downtown growing while the rest of our city is shrinking, and that's because downtown growth is coming at the direct expense of all the other communities. We know that the funding is being moved around to prioritize Under Armour. The funding is being moved around to prioritize a city-owned hotel. The funding is being moved around to prioritize a Four Seasons, a new headquarters for Legg Mason, a new headquarters for Exelon. But when it comes to young people, they can go without libraries. They can go without recreation centers. They can go to jail, is essentially the message that the city of Baltimore tells. I think the citizens of the city should request that you all stop estimating and that you become a board of precision and accuracy, because that's the least that we deserve as residents and taxpayers here in Baltimore, and I thank you for your time.
After Ms. Williams is Ms. Speaks, Roscoe Johnson, and John, can't even read the last name. It's John, I don't know what that is. If you're here, I don't know what it says.
Janethan, J-A-N, that's me. All right.
Good evening, and thank you for this opportunity to testify in front of you tonight in favor of restoring the $2.4 million for after-school and community schools. My name is Erin Hodge-Williams, and I am the mentor of a Baltimore City School resident or student who went through our after-school program and community school program. I'm the former executive director of an after-school and community school program, and I'm the board chair of most Maryland out-of-school time. There are two things that often get overlooked when there are cuts of this magnitude, and they are, number one, if the $2.4 million is not restored, Baltimore City loses additional $1 million on top of the cut. How does this happen? When a program is awarded funding from the city, it is their job to go out and match those dollars. And let me stress, those dollars are new dollars. So for example, each program must raise 20% on top of the money the city gives. The program that I was affiliated with in 2016 raised $500,000, additional dollars on top of the city dollars, and those dollars will go away, or a portion of them will. So without the investment from the city, these city dollars go away. Second of all, and I know, Madam Mayor, you are familiar with this with all your involvement with schools and the design school in particular. Nonprofits and their boards support and transform schools by bringing in connections, partnerships, innovation, and skills. For example, our organization helped a school secure $500,000 in new dollars to start and operate an after-school program that existed now for 3 years. We did this by discovering funding and helping them craft the proposal, which they would not have been able to do. I want to conclude by saying this. The young woman that I mentored recently took the stage at a fundraising event called Love Out Loud, one that you came to, Madam Mayor, and spoke to the students. She read a moving poem called America, I Can't. Essentially, the poem was her reaction to the current administration and what she sees in this country that's going on right now. I bring this up as a reminder to us all that the young people are watching us. They feel firsthand the impact of the budget cuts on their lives. And tragically, they question their worth when we do not support them with what helps them grow, thrive, and oftentimes survive. Thank you very much.
The first thing I want to do is request 2.8 minutes extra to speak because I'm nervous. Okay, that was a joke. Nobody's smiling. Okay, Jesus Christ. Okay, it's late. She got it. She wears red. That's my favorite color. Okay, don't start counting yet. That was a joke. Okay. Okay. All right. My name is Arafa Speaks. I am homeless in America. I'm from New York. However, I fell in love with Baltimore before I fell in love with New York. I stay at the Weinberg shelter. And the reason I'm showing you this jacket is because I'm not supposed to wear this jacket outside. Yeah, because I'm an activist. And even though Catholic Charities has a mission, vision, and value statement that says to work for justice, working for justice, as you heard here, is not confined to a shelter. But we are caged in these environments by policy. Homeless service providers are not worthy to receive the budget to determine what's best for people. I went to Stuyvesant. Oh yeah, in New York. Okay, they call me a brain, whatever that means, because it's doing me no good in the shelter system. That's all I'm going to say about that, except that we need everybody to pay a visit to Weinberg on 620 Falls Way. Everybody here needs to gather with your friends, your cats, your dogs, everything. Go see how and record how we live, and nobody wants to live there with us. But I want to say this about the school system. I don't think that the public school system should get another dime until, they're going to just love me when I finish saying this, because until our children know who Dr. Carter G. Woodson is, the teachers don't know. They can't teach. Until our children know Lift Every Voice and Sing, until we establish the Afro-American Society, until every school obeys the law where you can pray and meditate, okay? Our children need that, what they see what's going on everywhere, okay? It's not fair for our children, as a young man said. Black children in the school system need an Afro-American Society in every school to ensure that if there's only one black child, they're getting what they need. They need to know that President Obama signed 8 presidential proclamations calling for national observance of Black History Month. The teachers don't even know that. How do I know? I've done my survey. Won't mention names. So something is wrong that we have not learned a lesson. And 2 scriptures says he's got the red sign up there. Read the book of Haggai, chapter 1. And you'll find out why you're asking for a $15 raise, blah, blah, blah. And we need to stop spending, okay, because we're wasting money and spending $400 on sneakers. We need to stop that. And the other scripture is Matthew 15. Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees when it comes to multiplying the fish and the loaves of bread. Yes, the word says so. Jesus said, we don't need this money for homeless service providers. We need them for homeless people. I do a homeless magazine. They won't tell you what I do and what millions of other homeless people do. They don't want a shelter for entrepreneurs because they want you to keep supporting their lifestyles. And we have to stop that now. And I tell you, it's not us that's crazy, it's homeless service providers. Please make a note. I said that. Thank you.
Roscoe Johnson and John.
Good evening. I'm glad to stand before you to represent the residents of Druid Heights, the Board of Directors, Druid Heights Community Development Corporation, as well as our collaborative partners in Penn North Neighborhood and Reservoir Hill neighborhoods. I think it's important, first I would like to make a comment about the current budget, and I really want to congratulate you on the fact that now the trend is going to be to reduce the amount of money that's going to the police department and use those resources to try to build up our young people and the residents and the citizens of the city of Baltimore. That type of thinking, I think, is so important. I would want to see more than $10 million come from the police department, but I want to say the fact that you're taking that step is transformative, and I hope that in years to come, it'll be reduced $25, $50 million, so you find an effective way through the current decrees and everything that's going on related to the police department to better have a department that's functional and really working towards reducing crime and the neighborhood and the citizens see the police department as a partner instead of as an adversary and just locking up folks as we go. I think one of the things I want to make a point is, as you heard all the discussion this evening about related to the Board of Education and schools and the need for funding for the schools, you know that. I would also support to restore the $2.4 million related to the community schools. As you heard, our partners, Utah Matchburn, Druid Heights CDC is involved not only in Utah Matchburn, but also in Renaissance Academy, and it's very important. We see that as a necessary support for the schools. And once again, also the youth funding pool. I think the comment made by the young man in terms of how those monies are usually divided, Druid Heights CDC, we receive no funding from those types of sources, and we have run a summer camp for the past 22 years. And so our motto is, whether we get money or not, we're going to have a summer camp. But there's more things that we would be able to do with the young people if we did have support and to provide resources for them. Finally, I'm sorry, I'll wrap it up, but the one thing that I will be coming back to each of you, and of course our councilman here, Costello, is that we are now ready to make a transformation of the Penn North Druid Heights area and Pennsylvania Avenue. So I need your help. We need you to come and your senior staff to help us to bring in capital. So, and one final comment, when we do development in our community, the money stays in the community. So we need your support. Thank you.
Hello, my name is John Smeaton. I'm just a city resident, not representing anyone but people with bad handwriting or ambiguous last names. So I'm here to talk about one thing, echoing a lot of the sentiments community schools.
Hold on for 1 minute.
Sure, go for it.
Spell your last name for me.
Smeton. Okay. Support a lot of things said before, but I'm just here to talk about the Safe Streets program, as we're talking a lot about disinvesting from police and reinvesting in community initiatives. Violence interrupters with Safe Streets is an excellent example of a community-led violence prevention program, and data from Johns Hopkins University shows that it does lead to 20% plus reductions in violent crime in neighborhoods that it's located in. Surprisingly, even though it has been this effective for so many years, since 2007 when it was first founded, it does not particularly receive very much, if any, funding from the city to maintain itself. It's mostly grant funded. And so as we're thinking about where to invest our money, we should invest in the Safe Streets program, for obvious reasons. Investing in police is like investing in, to reduce crime is like investing in insulin to reduce diabetes. It's not a crime reduction strategy, it's how it works. In addition, unlike the police, which only are about 30% represented by city residents, Safe Streets is almost exclusively city residents who are working for it, so it's also kind of a local hiring initiative. And when I say invest in Safe Streets, I want to be clear about this. I'm talking about investing in the existing sites. We're talking about Cherry Hill, Park Heights, McElderry Park, and Sandtown, Winchester. What we don't want to see happen is that we have Park Heights closed down so that we can open up a new Safe Streets in Pigtown. The purpose of Safe Streets is not to serve as a prop for gentrification, but to actually provide community ownership over its own safety. And I should say I have no affiliation to Safe Streets personally, but I just know it works and you should invest in things that work. Thank you all very much.
That was the last speaker, and I would like to thank all of you for coming out this evening. Your comments have been heard, and the members of the board appreciate you for taking the time to share your thoughts on this budget. Next steps for the budget process are as follows. The Bureau of Budget and Management Research will present the proposed ordinance of estimate for fiscal year 2018 to the Board of Estimates with any adjustments or amendments as needed. The proposed ordinance of estimate will be sent to the City Council for deliberation. Beginning in May, the City Council will hold hearings with city agencies on the proposed cuts and revenue proposals. the date and time for the City Council Taxpayers Night, and the specific list of hearing dates and times will be announced at an upcoming City Council meeting and posted on the City Council website at www.baltimorecity.council.com. At this time, I would like to ask if any members of the board have questions or comments. Madam Mayor.
Let me first take a moment to thank everyone who took time out of their busy schedules to share their concerns with us. And let me just say, having been in office for less than 150 days, there are a lot of things that were certainly surprises to me as the mayor of this city. To learn that our city school system had a structural deficit was really heartbreaking, because as you well know, one of the biggest problems our city faces is the school system's structural deficit. The fact that we've grown more charter public schools in our city than in the state of Maryland has created a major problem, because we don't require that those who work in the public school system get hired in our charter school system. And you can do the math. 30 schools with 50 employees is about 1,500 people. And so we are hoping and praying that our public school system, which is run by our CEO, which has a $1.4 billion budget, gets the structural deficit under control. The fact that we had to put in $22 million, now up to $90 million over a 3-year period, which does not include what the state has done. And also, what you don't know is we brought back another $4.5 million for transportation for our young people, because we want them to be able to ride freely after they leave school to the various events. We've got a lot of work to do in this city. 12,500 young people have applied to work this summer. And what most people don't understand is that many of our young people, don't just want to work, they need to work. So one of the things that we've done in the city is instructed every department to not only hire young people during the summer, but to hire them year-round as well. And I tell folks that we must be committed to our young people, and that means putting resources on the line. And when I have conversations with the faith-based community, it's $18 million this year to make sure our young people are working, and I'm doing everything that I can to make sure that that takes place this summer. And let me just say, we understand homelessness in the city, and I think nobody understands it more than those who've spoken. But it is not just about providing a place for somebody to lay their head, but it's also providing the services that are needed, and we're working towards that. And Druid Heights, I want to thank you, too, for continuing to do the work that you do in your neighborhoods and communities. I think I was at your last community meeting and said, we are committed to changing neighborhoods and communities. And you'll see that change, because when I walk up and down Pennsylvania Avenue, and I do that, and was just there this week and today and the day before, because I understand the shortcomings that have taken place in that neighborhood. When you think about the field right above Dolphin Street, a field that has been slanted now for over 17 years, we're going to flatten that field. We're going to put lights on that field. We're going to mark that field, because community folks, just because you live in Section 8 housing doesn't mean that you're not a valuable citizen of this city. They should not have to drag their lawn chairs over to that field. And so we'll put lights, and we will make sure that that is what it should be for those members in that community. And when I think about the lack of investment in Shake and Bake, and whether you know it or not, there are studies that shows that if you have a bowling alley in your neighborhood, it does help to increase the IQ of the young people who are in those neighborhoods, because it gets them into thinking about how to do certain things. And when I look at that library on Pennsylvania North Avenue, if you've not been in it lately, you should, because there are community folks who come in there every day looking for a job. When you think about the folks, the young people who are doing their homework in those libraries. And yes, I said we're going to have mobile units moving in and out of our communities to create and help people get jobs. And if you all were listening, the first one is on the street thanks to our library. And we have 2 or 3 more that are coming that cost us over, and I'm not taking city dollars to do this. We're raising it through private dollars, $400,000 a unit. And then we're going to make sure that we have people on there. And I've invited the public sector to be on those units and to offer people real jobs. We've got a lot of work to do in this city, and the challenges to some may be insurmountable, but I can tell you that I still pinch myself every day that I get to serve the citizens of Baltimore, because I work for you and will continue to work for you. So again, thank you for your concerns. We'll take everything that has been said into consideration. Have a great evening. Thank you.
Also, I'd like to thank the parents, the citizens, and all the stakeholders who were concerned about continuing the funding for community schools, out-of-school time, programs for STEM, and for programs that will help our ex-offenders gain employment to sustain their families. And just know that this board is working hard to help to end homelessness, and we just thank you for your concerns.
Thank you for attending tonight's meeting and have a safe evening. Thank you.